Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. We're working today in Unreal Engine 4, and what we're going to be working on is the player health, the falling damage, and the healing, and we're going to do some other stuff randomly in there just to get the point across how to get the health system working, just for a general sense of things. So just to show you on a base level what we're working on, we jump in and we fell, there's our health, and it's slowly climbing back up over time. So that's on a base level what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So first I'll show you kind of how what we did here. We have a blueprint widget where we have our health, and we have the health bar. We have a graph for our event graph here, getting a player character reference, and all this is going to make a little more sense when we start doing it, but we have a reference to our player health. And it's binded to the progress bar that we have here. And then within our actual character blueprint, you can ignore the character full height, that's for the crouching, but we have the create player widget, and we add it to the viewport so it's actually drawn, and you can actually change the Z order to see like what's behind what in what order. And then pretty much that's it, aside from these two macros, the check falling distance here, where we actually check the distance where we start and where we stop and see if it's high enough to where it would cause damage. And then we have the heal player, where every second or so it just heals by a little bit, 0.005 for what we're doing there. So that's the base level of what we're doing. So to get this started, let's go into our event graph. Let's delete these two macros. Let's delete these two guys here. Compile that. And then we're just going to go here, our BP player health widget. We're just going to delete that. I'm going to force delete that. Let's go back in here. And the last thing we really need to do, we'll delete the start height variable, player health variable, the end height variable, and delete the macros themselves. Now, if we play, obviously we're not going to have a health bar, we're not going to be able to do any damage or anything to ourselves, and we're not healing anything, so pretty much a clean slate. So in your blueprints folder, we're going to right click, and we're going to go under user interface, widget blueprint. I call it BP player health. You can name it whatever you want. But before we get started with that, let's go back to our character blueprint. We want to make sure we have a variable. It's going to be a float. It's going to be called player health. And we're going to make it 1. I know everyone's instinct is to make that 100, but making it 1 does make it easier for us within the widget that we're going to be working on now. So let's double click on our widget. Here we have our canvas panel. This is basically the player's screen, the HUD. What we're going to do first is go into our graph, and then event construct. That's basically our event begin play. This is where we're going to get a reference to our character. So let's do get character, get player character, I should say. And we're going to cast this bad boy. We're going to cast this to first person character. Plug that up. And then we're going to pull from as first person character, promote that to a variable, and we'll call this player reference. Now we have a reference to our player, which is good, because now what we'll be doing, what we can do is just grab a player reference and do player health, and then we can get an access to that. But we don't need to do that here in the normal graph. What we're going to do first is go into our designer. We're going to do a couple things. First, we're going to need to go under our panel. And under our panel, we're going to do a vertical box. Place that under canvas panel. And then with the vertical box, we're then going to do a text. Now in the text, we can just name this text box. But in the text under content here, we're just going to do the words health, space, colon, space, hit enter. And then with the vertical box, we can make it a little longer so we can see the whole thing. And now we can move it down just a little bit. And we're doing it from the vertical box because we have the text box rooted into it, so they're kind of attached to one another. So we can move this down just a little bit. We don't have to go anywhere major. But now we're going to close down that. And then what we're going to do is create another vertical box, put it under canvas paddle. And then what we're going to do is a special one called progress bar. Let's throw that underneath the second vertical box. We're going to name this health bar. And then we're grabbing the vertical box here, and we can kind of zoom in, get that lined up a little better. But what we're going to do now is go into our health bar, and under here, under size, you see how it's lined up here. Instead of doing auto, we're going to do fill, and it's just going to grab the whole thing here. And now to change the shape of that, we can go into our vertical box. Kind of just change the shape, change how long it is, wide, whatever you want to do. And then overall, just set its position. So there's our health bar. It doesn't look like much yet. So let's go back to the health bar. And right now, it's telling us we have a fill color and opacity of blue, but you're not seeing that. And the reason why is right here under %. We're going to change that to a 1. This is going to turn blue. And then you can change this to any color you want. I usually like going for like a dark red. So let's make everything 0 except for the red. I'm going to just drag it down a little bit, get a nice little dark red. And now what we need to do now is bind the progress bar to the value of the player's health. To do that, we go under percentage. You see bind right here. We'll do a create binding. And right now it gives us a return value. And like I kind of showed you earlier, we can grab the player reference now and get player health. And then just plug it up right there. And now our widget's pretty much done. We have the designer, you can do way more in the widget, more than you want. But for now, that's all we're going to be doing for simplicity purposes here. With that done, we'll leave that open. We'll just switch over to our character blueprint. What we need to do now is create a widget. We're going to do this from event begin play. And then the class, what we're going to take it from, right there, BP player health is one of your options. And then we're going to return, from the return value, we're going to do add to viewport. And we're done. For Z order, we're going to leave that at 0. We don't want to do anything with that just because we don't have that many HUD elements at this point. So now, if we compile and save and play, we should have it on our HUD. And we do. Perfect. Right now, we can't really increase or decrease from it, but that's what we're going to work on next. So to get this started, what we're going to do, primarily it's going to be worked within our event tick to check to see whether or not we've done any fall damage. So under the My Blueprint here on the left, we'll just do a new macro. We'll call check for player falling damage. And per usual with our macros, we want to have a new input and output. These are going to be executable pins. In is going to be called in. Output is going to be called out. And we just got to change that to an executable pin. And one of the cool things that we have within our character, if you go under the character submenu here, we have a character movement variable. And from here, we can check to see if if the player is falling. We have an is falling component. So we're going to grab that. Let's move our output out of the way for right now. And obviously, we're going to drag a branch out of this because we're going to check to see if the player is falling or not. Now, if the player is falling, we want to do something once. So we're going to do a do once. And that thing we're going to do once is set a variable to see where the player's start height is. So if they're falling, what we're going to do at this point is get the player character. And then we're going to get the world location. And we're going to do that at the mesh. And obviously we're going to break this. And we're just going to want the Z value. So we're going to grab the Z, promote to variable, and we'll call the start fall height. And we can just set that. And then if you want to, we don't have to do it here, but you can always print the value of this. But that's pretty much all we're going to do for the true. But for the false, we're actually going to set the end height. So we're basically going to make a new variable here. We're basically going to take the same stuff we have here. And then Z, we're going to promote to a variable here. We're going to call this end fall height. Drag that down. Organization for the win. And then what we're going to do now, since we had set that variable, we're going to go get the start height and we're going to get the end height. And we're going to subtract from the start height, we're going to subtract the end height. So basically, we're going to get the distance that they fall. And then we're going to compare this distance. We're going to see if it's if it's going to be greater than or equal to. And the default value I have is just 200. You can make this whatever you want. But from here, we're going to branch that out. Obviously, we're making a comparison. Now, if it's true, because we're working with the event tick, we got to be very careful. So what we need to do is another do once. And what we're going to do in this do once is get our player health. We're going to subtract from it. We'll subtract 0.1, just for simplicity's sake. And remember, we're working with health being a value of 1. So 1 is equal to 100, so 0.1 is going to be 10 damage to it. And then we just got to set the health now. So it's Alt left click, drag that out, plug that up, put that to that. And now, because the do onces are in here, we need to reset them in a way that would make the most sense. And since we're working with a macro, we want to have an output working. So we're going to use a sequence at the very end. The first sequence, what this is going to do, this is going to reset the first do once. And the second one's just going to go into our output. And the reason why is after we're done doing that calculation, we want to reset the fact that we want to start over. So we want to set a new start fall height. And the same thing goes here when we want to subtract health. So we're going to reset that on the set start fall height. So basically, so if we've done this before, let's say we have already landed, we take damage, and we want this to happen again, automatically, when we start falling, we're going to reset the bottom one, and when this all ends, we're going to reset the very first do once. So it's going to be a good loop that works well. And we can see this in action. So we can press play, and then we just jump off. But we're seeing it's not working because, like usual, I'm stupid and I forget to connect it up. Alright, so let's do the check for falling damage. We'll just plug that bad boy in. And now if we jump off, or even if we just walk off, we should get 0.1 damage. And we do. And also we don't have a system put into place yet to heal our player, so that's what we're going to do next. So it's going to be another macro. We'll name this heal player. Like usual, 2 executable pins for in and out. And what we're going to do here, it's pretty easy. It's going to focus on the player health, so that's going to be our main variable. So let's get that. We're going to check to see if it's less than the value of 1. We want to see if the player has taken any damage at all. That's our first check. Let's get the output out of the way. And we're going to do a branch from here because we're going to be comparing. And what we're going to do, so basically if it's true, if we are less than 1, that's when we want to start healing the player. So what we're going to do, we're going to set the player health. But what are we going to set it to? This is where you can have more fun or more customization. We're going to copy a player health. We're going to do an add. And we could just make this 0.005. You can make that whatever you want. And then we can just set it here. And the organization again for the win. Let's move these guys back, because what we want to do, if this is false, if it's not less than or equal to 1, we want to set the player health to 1, just to make sure it's safe. And now the last thing we really need to do here is set up a delay, so hold down D, left click. We'll keep it at 0.2 seconds for now. Plug both into the delay, because we want this to be a loop that loops continuously no matter what the results are. And then for sequence purposes, what we're going to do is get another sequence here. The first one is going to go back to the original comparison. Second one is going to go to our output. File, save, and then back into our event graph. Let's not forget this. Let's put in the heal player macro now. And again, we're pulling this all from event tick, so it should be called every second. Now let's save, and then let's go ahead and play. And now we're healing. And then at a certain point it hits 1, and we stop healing. Now that we have that working, it's always fun. What we're going to do now is have maybe a little fun with this. Let's make a new object. Let's right-click Blueprint Class Actor. We'll call this BP Health Pickup. Double-click on that. And what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of the default root. Actually, kind of stay. Actually, that's not anything. That's my bad. What we're going to do, go back into our content browser. Let's go to Started Content. Let's get a sphere. Just left-click on it so it's highlighted, and then let's go ahead. Let's first add our shape. Actually, no, let's delete that. We want to set up a root first. So let's go all the way to the bottom. And let's make an arrow. We'll call it root. Now we can add our shape. We'll call this pickup. And then let's also give it a collision. Sphere collision should do. Obviously, we want to make this bigger. We'll make it 64. That's a good size. And then we'll call this collision. And what we're going to do is just going to make a pickup that heals the player. All that's really going to do. So what we're going to do, we'll do the collision one. So let's select it, right-click on it. We'll do Add Event. I'll do Collision, Add on Begin Overlap. And then the other actor will cast to our player. Whoops, we'll do first person character. That's the one we want. We want to cast that. And if the cast goes through correctly, what we want to go ahead and do is we'll get our health, get player health. And then we're going to do a comparison here. We're going to check to see if it's less than 1. If it is, we'll branch it. So if it is less than 1, that's when we want to go ahead and let's do this. Add a reroute, and another reroute. We're going to set player health. In terms of the value, we'll pull from the player health. We'll reroute it, and we'll do an add. We'll add a 0.1. But we'll do another comparison here again. So we'll copy these two guys. Now, instead of less than, we want to do a greater than. So let's grab this guy. So we're going to check to see if it's greater than or equal to 1. If that's true, we're going to set player health to 1, because we don't want it to go over 1. And we'll just hook it up to this guy. And that's all we really need, I believe. So let's go back. Let's go to our blueprints. Let's go to first. Let's go to pickup, and let's just drop it in our level. There we go. Now it should heal us. So let's play. And it does, but as you can see, it doesn't go away. So the last thing we need to do is really destroy the object. Destroy actor. And just for any kind of purposes, let's just cut everything in half here. 0.5, and then collision 32. Move that to position. There we go. Compile, save, and here's our actor again. Play, drop down, take damage, and now it'll disappear. And we got healed. So the last thing we're really going to do is one more blueprint. It's going to be volumes that can take away health and healing. So let's go ahead and go to blueprints. Go to blueprint class and actor, close BP, health volume. And the cool thing that we're going to do with this one is it's going to be very versatile. It's going to allow us to take away and add health if needed. So we'll do a scene component to start. We'll call it root. And all it's going to be is box collision volume. And we'll call this health volume. Nothing big going on. So let's compile, let's save. And under, let's go ahead and make some variables under event begin play, I should say. We're going to first make a public variable. We're going to call this B does heal. By default, I'll set that to true. And we'll make this a public variable. Actually, we don't need to really even do anything with event begin play. What we're going to do here is grab the health volume. We're going to do kind of what we did before, add a collision event of overlap. And what we're going to do here again is cast to our player, first person character. And if it casts successfully, what we're going to do now is check for does heal. We're going to do a branch. And actually, before we even do that, let's just cast this to a variable to make our lives better. Let's do promote to variable. We'll call this character reference. Then we'll plug that up. So if it does heal, that's when we want to add player health. But what else we want to do as well, let's move this past. Let's make one more Boolean variable. We'll do B touching volume. We'll set that to true right here. But we want to do a begin, we want to do end overlap. So add on begin over end overlap, I should say. And when this happens, we're just going to set that to false. And that's going to be an important piece of information when we're going to reference this in a little bit. So let's connect this back up. So if it does heal, that's when we want to kind of go back to our first-person character blueprint, go to heal player. We can kind of just grab this logic, go back to the volume. So if it's true, we want to do that. We're going to have to replace some variables here. So character reference, pull out from that get player health. Organizational skills for the win. Plug that up. Copy that. Now let's move things out of the way here. We'll make this 0.001, so it's just really small. Got that. Now we can get rid of these sets. We gotta replace them with proper ones. Set player health. Make this 1. And then we can just copy this, take that out, paste it, plug it up, and plug that up as well. Plug that into the delay. We kind of rinse and repeat on that. But then the true goes here. So basically, if this is true, if it does heal, we're going to heal the player. So now we're going to do the opposite. So let's just grab all this, paste it, plug it up to the false for when it is false. So we're going to do less than or equal to 1. We want to do that. But the one thing here is we want to do another comparison. Actually, since we're taking away, we want to do, is it less than 0? And then if it's true, this is when we have to disconnect a couple things to make our lives a little easier. So we're going to check the player health now because we're taking it away from the player's health. We want to make sure they don't get below 0. So if it is less than, or we'll do less than or equal. So less than or equal to 0. If that's true, we want to set the player's health to 0. Let's get this guy out. Ready? And then we want to print, player dead. We're not going to go too much into this, but we'll say the player's dead at this point. But if it's not less than or equal to 0, that's when we're going to go ahead. Instead of adding, we'll do subtracting. Or you can just add a negative, but that's kind of confusing. Plug everything up. Then everybody gets to say hello to the delay. So there we go. So let's save that. And now what we need to do is go into our first person character. Under the healed player, what we're going to do, actually first, let's go into our event graph. Let's go into our event begin play. Let's go ahead and cast a new variable here. So get all actors of, whoops, I spelled actors completely wrong. Get all actors of class. And what we're going to look for is BP health volume. So BP health volume right there. And then we get, starting at 0. And that's where we're going to do our casted BP health volume. Connect those together. And last but not least, let's just promote this to a variable. And we'll call this health volume reference. Compile that. Save it. Go back to our heal player once it lets us. And now, let's get health volume reference. We'll do, what is it, B, is it in volume? Yeah, B, so get touching volume. Branch that. And if it is touching the volume, we're not going to heal ourselves. It's only when we're out of the volume that we're going to heal ourselves. So basically, now we have a reference to our health volume blueprint. We're going to see if we're touching it. And if we are touching it, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to heal ourselves. We're going to let the volume do its thing, whatever volume it may be. But then once we're not touching it, that's when we're going to heal ourselves automatically. And now, obviously, here we have, turning touching volume to false, touching volume to true, getting a character reference when we're touching it. And then we're going to see if it heals or not. If it does heal, that's when we're going to heal the player. If it doesn't heal, it does damage. We're going to subtract subtract health from the player. So the only thing left we have to do is put our volumes in. So let's go ahead. Right click, place actor. They're kind of small. We'll mess with the size now. Change the scale to 5. Nice big old volume. This one's going to heal us. We're going to, actor hidden in game, we're going to keep that. I want to make sure we can see it in the game, so let's play it real quick. Do I see the volume? No. How about now? Oh, we still don't see it. So this variable doesn't really do anything. Let's go back into our health volume real quick. Let's go to our viewport. Click on our trigger here, this volume, and we'll uncheck hidden in game, just so we can see it. Now it should work. Let's see. There he is. Okay, cool. And we're going to leave does heal to true, but let's duplicate this and set it to false. And save everything, and let's go ahead and jump in. So we can jump, take damage. We can also go in here, it heals us. We go in here. It doesn't seem like it's working, of course. Let's go back. Let's go into our player real quick. Never get this right on the first try. Let's go into our event tick. Let's do a print. Now let's just print our player health, just so we have it going. And we're just going to connect that into our event tick, just so every second we're just seeing our health. Alright, so it looks like this one's healing us. Which one's which? Now I'm kind of confused. So this one heals. This one shouldn't heal. So let's go back here. Actually, let's do this. Let's change where the touching volume is at. Let's move that to the very start. And let's go back to our first-person character. Go to heal player. Let's just double-check the logic. So if we are touching the volume, we don't want this to be true. So that's all good. Let's try it one more time. I believe we can do it. But it's still healing us. It might be something to do with how it's looping, maybe? How about we loop these guys all the way back here? Let's try it one more time. I have a feeling we're going to have to make one more logical change, but we'll see. Yeah, it looks like they're kind of just fighting each other here. Let's do this. We'll do one more comparison. We'll do another touching volume. So we'll branch. We'll put this before the does heal. So if we are touching the volume, we want to do this. And if we're not, we won't do anything. And we'll plug this up to that new branch we just set up. So those guys are looping through that. Let's try it. Kobe. That's not good. I feel like it's in the first-person character. I'm stupid. Okay, we gotta change the loop in here because we were looping this body. We want to loop this body as well. So just gotta drag it to the new comparison. Now we should start seeing results. Hopefully, we'll see. I have faith. No. Okay, now it's doing damage to us. And that's healing. So why is it working now? Not the start. Let's play from here. Alright, so now it's working, but it doesn't work when we start at the top. Oh, I know why. We gotta really look at the check for falling damage. Well, no. It should all be within heal player. And then with here, you know, we have everything the way it needs to be from what I can tell. Try it again. This is tricky. Now it seems to be working. My head hurts. Let's try doing the subtraction one. Alright. So it seems to work when we touch the heal one. It's like, hey, heal. Now we subtract, but it's not automatically healing us now. Let's see. It's kind of confusing. My head's starting to hurt a little bit. But it doesn't really matter. The gist of it's there. At this point, the only thing that's confusing me the most is the automatic healing. It doesn't work anymore. It should, though. So, like, if we play from here, I should be able to take some damage. And then should automatically heal. My guess is the order of things over here. Like, heal player should be first. And then check for playing falling damage should be second. That's my only guess right now. So let's see if that's the fix, because that'd be awesome. So let's fall. That healed hella quick. Now it's not taking damage from me now, so now it has to be within heal player. Like, I don't know why that healed me so quick. Maybe we need a delay here as well at the start. And that should break it up in chunks. Yeah, there we go. But now it's fighting each other again. Maybe it's because nothing changes here, so we'll do another delay. One more time. No. Oh well. Kind of upset that I didn't get this working for you guys on screen. But I've seen it work in the past. I've done it before in the past as well. So I'm not too sure why it's not working now. It's most likely due to logic reasons. So I'm not really worried about it. But for now, we got the gist of it. We have everything working the way we kind of want it to. But for now, that's where I'm going to call it. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. If you like the content, definitely click on me or click on the subscribe button above to subscribe to the Devin Level Design channel. On the right is some more videos for you guys to check out, more blueprint examples, more tutorials for blueprints. As well as below me, there's social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. But also, I want to say thanks again for watching. Subscribe, hit comment some things for me, hit like, share the video, do all that good stuff. But for now, again, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.